Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I finally have an update for you guys. A lot has happened. I don't think we even spoke about what came through with the last time. So let me kind of bring you back to speed. We're going to finally do the 10 things that I wish I would have known before starting my procedure. And then we'll bring you to today. So I'm really excited that you guys are here continuing to follow my journey. If this is something that you're interested in, or you just want to see where I have been with my treatment, then follow on.
I know it's nothing new, but it's so good to see you. We do this every day, and I'm still so amazed by you.
Okay, so we're back. And if you've been following along and haven't seen an update from me, then you probably have guessed that the first round didn't go as well as planned. And that's true. So from the previous videos, we were really excited. I had my retrieval on the first round, and it looks like I had 6 embryos to work with. So I think that's where we left off. So when you get a retrieval and you get your embryos, they have to go through a stage and make it through their 6th day. So the 6th day benchmark is really, really important, because the eggs that you retrieve, you do the biopsy and see which of those embryos have broken up into a blastocyst stage, and that tells you if it's multiplying correctly. That tells you that that embryo is ready to move on to the next stages. So unfortunately, we had 6 that we were able to retrieve, but only 1 made it to that day 6 benchmark. So what we decided to do, and I'll go through the cost too, is that Jesse and I really wanted to do embryo testing and do further testing with the Fertility Center and further testing with the lab. It's really important for us, especially if we're trying this hard and investing this much, that we want to make sure that our embryos are healthy. There's no chromosomal abnormalities. There's no abnormalities in general. We have a very healthy and happy embryo. So because we only had 1 doing the testing, whether that's from the fertility center or at the lab, it costs a lot of money. So we decided to freeze this embryo and try another round, and that's where we are now. So we are taking the potential embryos from round 2, seeing what has made it to the day 6 stage, adding the frozen embryo that we've kept from the first cycle, adding them together, and with those 2, or with that round of embryos, we are going to do all the testing with. So I know it's a lot of information, it's a lot of science, it's a lot of planning, but we felt that A, we didn't want to have a 50-50 chance, and B, we wanted to make sure that financially it made sense for us. So we decided to keep 1 frozen and just add it to the 2nd round. So we are officially at our second round of IVF. Okay, so I'm here at the office. This is my last sonogram and blood work before we do the retrieval on Wednesday. I think she'll let me know today if the retrieval is Wednesday. I'm really, really excited. So we started off this cycle with 10 follicles, and then throughout the treatment and trying to get them mature, we actually ended up, I believe, with 8. So we're hoping today that that number is not continuously going down, so that way I have a higher chance of the embryos that I'll be able to pull next week. So fingers crossed that today's gonna go well. So we started with 10, which was really exciting. But she always says, don't count your chickens before they hatch, and that's so true. You really have to wait until they're mature to see like what the numbers you're really working with. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to get the show on the road for next week. Okay, so we're back. So from that visit, you can see that we're pretty excited, right? So at this point, at the end of last week, or the end of that week's video, we were going in every day, because what's happening, and this is really important to understand when you're trying to do any fertility assistance. So we had about 5 or 6 follicles. So one was 19, and one was about 16 or 17. We had another one 16 or 17, and then we had 2 more that were really just getting to its maturity, which was like 11 and 12. So what the doctor and I spoke about was, when we discussed amping up our follistim, which is the stimulant. So we wanted to amp up the stimulant to get the smaller follicles bigger, and it was okay for the biggest one to kind of overgrow itself, because once it goes past 22, it's 23, 24, 25 in size, it's too big to be considered, it's just too big of a follicle, and it kind of implodes itself. So it's like playing blackjack, right? You're trying to get to 21, you have a 14, you hit it again, and you get like a 16 or 17. Do you hit it again? So, and that's where the gamble was. We are gambling that one alpha follicle. We're gambling to get rid of that one, and in efforts to get everything else to come into its mature stage. So at that point, because you're taking so much stimulant and you want to get that sweet spot where the smaller ones are bigger and the biggest one is still not yet imploded, you have to go every day. You have to take stimulants and go every day to your fertility center to make sure the sonogram is telling you and showing you the pattern of how your follicles are growing. So by Friday, we saw that the biggest one was 20, and we wanted to do one more hint of 375 units of the follistim pen, which is a lot of stimulant. So we did that Saturday and Sunday. And then yesterday I had my my last sonogram. Everything looked good. So we did the trigger at 3 o'clock in the morning last night. So it leads us back to today. We're at the 27th. This is a Tuesday. So I just did blood work just to make sure everything was good. Blood work is good. And then tomorrow I go for my retrieval. So we'll see how that goes. I'm praying that we get as much eggs as we possibly can, so we can start off with a good number. So that's where we are. And I know it's a lot of information, it's a lot coming out at you at once, but this is what happens. It's very slow, and then when they start getting mature, it's fast and furious to try to get. It's a race of time, because if my body starts to ovulate, everything is ruined. So you have to take ovulation suppressants and then try to take stimulants and try to see where you can balance it out. And that's the job of your doctor, obviously, and try to balance that out. It's a timing game, and it's a race between your body and what the fertility doctor can do. So a lot. So let's get into the things that I wish I would have known prior to doing IVF treatment. And I have 10. I could go on, but I have 10. So I'll start from 10, which is just tips and little things. And number 1 is probably my most suggested thing for you if you're starting your treatment, or you're within your treatment, or just thinking about it. I hope that this video is helpful for you. And if it is, be sure to follow my fertility journey and click the like button and subscribe. Okay, so number 10. Have my list here. So number 10 is to do the research. So I know this is like if you are a woman and you're trying to do fertility treatment, you're going to do research, but do research to the infinite degree. Like, I've done so much research that I thought I swear I could be a fertility doctor. No joke. Do your research, and when you're doing your research, make sure that you're asking your doctor a lot of questions. You're paying them a lot of money, especially if you don't have insurance. Without insurance, with insurance, you're paying a lot of money to the center. Ask your doctor a lot of questions, and an extra tip is to have them print out your sonograms each and every visit. So that way you can see your own progression of your follicles. You can see what the medication, what the patterns are. How do they grow when I do 375 of follistim? How did they grow? How did they increase when I just gave them 200 units of follistim? Like, know your body, know how it works, ask for sonogram photos and information, and ask a lot of questions. Number 9 is to keep a journal. I went over this, and I got a journal from my mom for my birthday. Or was it Christmas? It was my birthday. So she got me a journal. It's one of the best things that you can honestly do. If you're a journaler or if you're not a journaler, just keeping notes, keeping memories, the good, the bad, the ugly, keep all of that in your journal, because you're going to look back at it and need it. You know, when you're meditating or when you're just trying to get yourself motivated, a journal definitely helps you. And I will say, a journal, again, it definitely does help you keep you motivated, because if you're like me, who's done this twice, it gets very difficult. It gets very difficult to stay positive, to stay up, to stay like hype about it. It's just, you don't want it to get into that line of becoming like jury work, or it's just something you just don't want to do anymore. Keep a journal and keep yourself motivated. Number 8, another one that can probably seem like it's an obvious choice, but have a support group. And even more so than that, make sure your partner, whether that's a boyfriend, your husband, or just your sexual partner, keep them in the loop. Really get them involved with your research. Teach them. Every time you get out of your appointment, let them know what happened. Share the sonogram with them. Share the information with them. An additional tip is to leave the responsibility of injections to your partner. So that way you're removing that stress from yourself and have to worry about the appointments and getting there and timing and things like that. Leave the injections to your partner. Teach them, let them get used to it, so that way you don't have to worry. Another tip to go on with number 8 and your partner is to make sure your partner on the trigger day is filling out the syringe beforehand. I can't tell you guys, that's such an awesome tip, because most often than none, your fertility doctor is going to advise that you take the trigger shot in the middle of the night. The first cycle was at 2 o'clock in the morning, and this cycle last night was 3 o'clock in the morning. I am telling you guys, it's so much easier because you're just so dead tired. Your partner is so dead tired that having the syringes in the refrigerator ready to go is a life sent. You don't want to be fumbling on the syringe at 3 o'clock in the morning. You don't want to miss, you don't want to miss the actual units and the measurements. You want to make sure that everything is set for you, so that way when you wake up really early and you're just so tired, it's just a matter of injection and then going back to sleep. Number 7, so have a good diet going. Look at what other people are doing, what fruits, what vegetables, what things help with ovarian walls, what helps with follicle growth, what helps with your AMH levels. I got a good diet book. If you look at my last haul, I have it linked in the description box, but definitely you guys, get rid of junk as much as you can. I mean, I'm no like stick figure, but when it comes to dieting, it was really important for me to make shakes, to do things that help my fertility specifically. So not like a diet to change, you know, like we're not talking about a lifestyle change. We're talking about adding foods that will help your fertility growth and journey and add them into your pantry. It's a lifesaver, and from the first cycle to the second cycle, my doctor has seen vast improvements. So definitely get a good fertility diet going. Number 6. So we're starting to get into the interesting ones and things that I'm like, you know, that's like, I should share this with them because it really helped me. So number 6 is to get a subscription plan on Amazon or wherever you get your meds from. So not the medications from, you know, from your injections and the fertility and injections, the fertility medication. I'm talking about the vitamins and things that you need, prenatal vitamins. I'm telling you, you guys, they go by so fast, so fast. So I got the pink stork, I got the CoQ10, I got the lipids, and I went over that in a separate video. I'll link it down below. All of those vitamins, it will be a lifesaver if you just subscribe to the subscription on Amazon. So you subscribe, you save money, you save time, and you don't have to worry about, oh my God, I'm like 2 pills like left, let me order Amazon, and you miss a day. You always. Number 5. So these are getting to the nitty gritty and things that are actually I'm going through right now, and I can tell you that these are the last 5 are super, super important. And if you're following along and you're going to be using any of these tips, I'm telling you guys, the 5 through 1 is really, really important. Number 5, try not to schedule trips or long vacations throughout your fertility process. I know this may seem like a no-brainer, but we actually had a scheduled trip that we had to push out a few times due to the pandemic, and that was going to Disney. Thank God we had a break between my first try and my second try that we can have a couple days to go to Disney. But you guys, try not to schedule any time, because the closer you are to your retrieval date, you're going to be at the office every single day. You cannot afford not to have a call from the doctor and saying, your levels look a little off, I need you to come tomorrow. Like, if it's that important to you, and if you're investing time and money into this, please, I really suggest that you just leave your vacations until you absolutely know for sure what's happening. Because not only is it time consuming, but some of the medication has to be refrigerated. So you don't want to travel with the medication with an ice pack, and then the ice pack doesn't work and it gets too warm, and then it compromises the actual medication. So instead of worrying about all that, just, I know, you know, COVID levels are starting to fluctuate a little bit. Mandates are starting to rise, and you just want to be out. I get it. But it's really helpful that you have free time and not scheduling things where you're not going to be around for your fertility doctor to contact you. Number four. Oh my God, these were like a tie for number 1, but it had to be somewhere. Number 4, find a fertility center close to your home. I can't stress that enough. Find a fertility center if you can close to your home. When I did the research, I found Family Fertility Center, and I was like, okay, I wasn't, see, this is why I'm telling you the tips and tricks, because I was not prepared, or had no idea that I would have to go sometimes every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And the fertility center that we chose, and by then I love the people who work there. I can't do anything about it. It's an hour away. So it's an hour there, an hour back. Sometimes I have to go in the morning. Sometimes I have to go in the afternoon. The closer your fertility center is to your home, the better you are off, because it gets so tiring. Now, something that's really important is number 3. If you are planning to have a family, or you're considering it, you absolutely need to get insurance, because the cost, if you don't have insurance, is astronomical, right? So we're going to go over the cost in the second point. But number 3, either get insurance or bump up your insurance. If you're trying to start a family, you should be talking to your insurance and seeing, what are the prices of having children in your plan, family plans, things like that, because you're no longer an independent. You're now thinking for yourself, you're thinking for your family. So either get insurance or bump it up, because if you're not aware, I'm about to let you know how much it costs. Number 2, save money. Save money. You guys, this is not cheap. Not cheap. And anyone who tells you anything different is lying. Whether you have insurance, whether you don't have insurance, this mofo is expensive, let me tell you. So, future kids, if this is still up and you're watching this, you are expensive, and I'm gonna save all my needles. I'm gonna save all my needles, all my syringes, and the time comes that you don't want to do any chores, mama's gonna whip out the bag and be like, this is what you made me do. This is how much you cost. Let's get into it. For me, 2 rounds of IVF cycles is anywhere from $10,000 to $11,000. So if you're lucky without a break like how we took, it's really unlikely, but your first cycle will be 1 month and your second cycle would potentially be another month. So we're talking about potentially $10,000, depending on your provider, depending on your center. It can range from $9,000 to $11,000 for 2 cycles, and 2 cycles is average. So I'm going to be speaking and cycles for 2, because that's what I'm going through and that's what the norm is. It's normal to have multiple cycles of IVF. It's not rare that you get it on the first try, and if you do, you're very lucky. So let's just go over it. So before you get an IVF, and I showed this in my previous videos, that I got IUI, intrauterine insemination. I can never say that word. You want to do an IUI. So that procedure is really expensive. So, and with that comes a HICOSI. So that can range you from $370 to about $450. That's before you do the IVF, just to make sure. And sometimes you have to do a couple rounds of that to be considered for an IVF coverage from your insurance. So with me, I only had to do 1 round of that. But if you were someone that their insurance requested that you do a couple rounds just to make sure we absolutely know through regular insemination this is not going to work, you need to do about 1 to 2 IUIs. So that's your IUI. We're already at $370. Every office visit is $40 with my insurance, and I amped it up. So $40 every time. And again, you're going multiple times. So like you can easily spend $200 on office visits a week. So if you had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's $200, I'm not going to do math in my head because I'm really bad at math, but we're already potentially $800 in office visits potentially for the month. And that's not including your IUIs that you had to pay for. So now we're just going up and up and up. So the 3 meds that we had, and this is why number 3, this goes hand in hand with number 3. The Follistim, and I have it here. So the Follistim is $2,294 if you don't have insurance. That's why I urge you guys, have insurance, because the Follistim, and that's the stimulant, is $2,300. The Lupron, the Leuprolide, is $1,300 without insurance. The Ovidril, which is your HCG, is it's $165. So with all those 3, I pay $100 each with my insurance, which is incredible. However, that's $300 a month, and if you're doing another cycle, that's another $300. So just keep in mind, for 2 cycles, you're going to be paying anywhere from $700 to $800 in just your stimulants and your hormones. This is, I have mine through Walgreens Alliance. Really awesome people. But that's $700 for 2 cycles. The storage of your embryos, right now I have one that's frozen, as we just discussed. That's $1,700. That's, the insurance didn't cover that. I just paid a couple of days ago my $1,700 bill. Freezing is another $1,000, which insurance doesn't cover the freezing. The embryo biopsy that they do at the fertility center that we just spoke about earlier in this video is $2,000. It's coming out of pocket. The embryo chromosome testing at the lab is $3,000. Now, the testing is, again, it's optional. The $3,000 for that testing is priceless. That guarantees, or pretty much guarantees to me, that I'm going to have a very healthy baby with no illnesses and nothing like that. Potentially, hopefully, but that's what the money is coming to. And then of course you have gas. Like I said, it's an hour, so there and back and gas, it adds up. So all of that being said, number 2, save your money because it's very expensive. Well worth it. Not saying that I would pay it 3 times more if I had. My number 1 tip, and this may come to a surprise and some people might disagree with this, but to me, I found it invaluable to share my experience and to be open with my employment. And I say this because, again, when it gets closer to retrieval, you're out of the office every single day. Every single morning, whether it's morning, afternoon, you're going to be out of the office going to said fertility center. And if your fertility center is an hour and away, that means you're going to be out of the office for 2 hours. You need to make sure, because you don't want to lose your job, you want to pay and make sure you have your job, so when the time actually comes, you're employed and starting your family. It's such a load off my shoulders when I can tell my boss, hey, I have an appointment today. He lets me take off for my retrieval because they do put you under. So he's very accommodating as much as he could. However, I do take my laptop and I work wherever I can, in the waiting room and the sitting room, in the car, so my number 1 tip is to be open with your employment, so that way they understand the reason why you're taking so many days off and they're not getting frustrated with you. They can sympathize with you and they can be on your team. And that also helps you kind of break the ice when you're giving them the notice for your maternity leave. So it all kind of helps. Fortunately, I have a great boss. He actually has gone through the same experience with his wife. So it just, the stars kind of align there. So he's like, I get it. We did the same thing. Take all the time that you need. But if you're not as lucky, or if you have a jerk boss, go to your HR and say, this is what's happening. I need my vacation time. I'm going to take for all my office visits, and I will let you know. And that's the best advice that I can give to you. So I hope that this was helpful. So again, I have my retrieval tomorrow. We're really excited. We're hoping that with the frozen embryo and the embryos that we get from this round, we're going to make a baby. Still excited. I'm so grateful for all your comments and all your love. I can keep taking them, so keep sending them, and I will see you on the next one.